Symbiotic relationship, and how does it relate to YouTube? If you had to sum everything up and why people talk about each other, there are lots of reasons, but examine this, how it works. And if you haven't figured it out yet, I guess you never will, but I'm the one that's going to tell you. Now, it's called a symbiotic relationship. Now, we could go to, as an example, how it relates to YouTube. Fish in the ocean called a clownfish, and there's something called a sea anemone. And one helps the other. Now, the sea anemone can paralyze fish if they go through it, but the clownfish is not affected by the poison. So what's the benefit of the clownfish? Well, what he does is he attracts fish into the sea anemone, right? And the sea anemone will, dissolve and pretty much eat the fish. And any particles that come off that, the clownfish gets rewarded by eating those particles. Now, a clownfish is not going to be harmed because he's protected by the sea anemone. Sounds simple enough? Well, let's examine YouTube. Is it any different? Let's give you an example. Philippine Antics, top of my head. Okay, known gossip show. She talks about Big Man, right? Big Man gets more views on his channel. Now, by coming up with a drama topic, she will get views on her channel. So it's advantageous for her to talk about Big Man or anybody else. If Big Man decides to speak back at Philippine Antics or anybody else for that fact, she will get some more benefit. They will now go to her channel. Now, this is exactly what has been on here the whole time. It's really very simple. And the back and forth with people on here, now, it's especially if people are monetized. Those are the channels that do a hell of a lot more, actually, than those that are not, because there's a benefit in for them. How do you think all these channels get popular? Yes, drama, of course, but let's keep up the topic about a particular person, and let's gather a lot of attention. They're going to come to the channel. They want to be heard or seen, both. People will come to your channel. What's the newest drama? What's the newest word on something? Whether it's Barry, how's Barry doing in jail? What's going to happen to Barry, or what's going to happen to me, or anybody else for that fact. So you keep tuned in for that. That's what happens. And there's a Luminar. It's a symbiotic relationship, and people don't even realize that they're actually doing it. But it's done every day, whether they're conscious of that or not. That's exactly what they're doing. They're feeding each other, is what it is. You got the sea anemones and you got the clownfish. Mostly a lot of clowns out there, but that's exactly what's going on YouTube. Symbiotic relationship. Look up look it up. What a symbiotic relationship is, and if you can't relate it to YouTube, then we're on a different planet. But that's actually what's really going on. Anyway, I took care of some business today, and I got a notice or something early that Philippine Antics was on, as I would if I'm subscribed. And I'm not really subscribed to many people. And sometimes I hit a button, and I hit the subscribe button, where I really don't want to subscribe. I might have done it by accident, this thing I'm subscribed, and I'll get a little notice that comes up and tells me that, oh, well, you're subscribed to this channel, All right, so I go to it, and I'll listen, and right away, you're going to hear, first thing you're going to hear, oh, let's talk about Big Man, or let's talk about this guy, or let's talk about this guy. How do you think Ricky was getting all those viewers? It's just, off my head, and so forth. Okay? And how do you think Barry in the past was getting? He never really got a lot of viewers, but I got any viewers at all because people wanted to watch a train wreck. It's common human nature, really, when you think about it. see an accident scene on the road. I mean, you don't really want to see it, but you kind of do, and you'll peer over, even though you don't want to see any blood and gore. Chances are, because you're human and you're curious, and there's part of you that's saying, no, don't look. It's going to stain your mind. You're going to be thinking about it all day and night. There's part of you that says, no, no, I got to see what happened. I got to see the reality of this car wreck, this train wreck, whatever it is. And that's exactly what goes on here. People are curious. They want to know what's going on with this guy. It's a never-ending cycle, is what it actually is. That's how people get views. That's how people get more subscribers, because let's face the reality, which you've known already, which I don't have to repeat it, but I will. Drama gets people to watch your channel. They want to know what's going on with who, when, how, if, and so forth. And this is what's been going on since there's ever been YouTube, and especially since they've ever had. They used to have the Hangouts. You basically got the live streaming now, StreamYard. And people take advantage of that for a lot of reasons. Instant on. Don't have to upload anything, and you're instantly on, like I just did. I didn't have to record a video and then wait an hour, 2 hours, whatever the hell it is, according to how long your video is, how much memory you have, all that stuff, until it actually gets processed and it goes online. So people will go to live streaming, and it's just a quick and effective way to get on and get your message out and have people join in live time, real time live on your show so that you can converse back. Okay, well, we all know that. But what most people don't know is that it's subconsciously, you're doing this is it's an instinct that you have, and some of it is very choreographed. For example, we talk about the clickbait titles. Well, that's a measure that a lot of people use. It's not even a show necessarily about what their title is. That's called clickbait. And they have on Facebook feeds and so forth, millions of those things going all the time. About an animal rescue or something, or a particular animal in mind, but then you're watching that video. So where's that animal they were talking about? That animal wasn't even in there. That's called clickbait. They get you to listen to, I'll give you a great example of that. Do you ever watch or listen to Coast to Coast radio? And that's why I kind of stopped in the past listening to it. But this relates to it too. I used to like all their stories, and before I go to bed at night, I used to turn it on back in Hawaii or Seattle, either one. And you got an interesting show, and you don't want to fall asleep. Listen, you want to hear the show, but what happens is you're so inundated with commercials. Now, during Coast to Coast, I could definitely tell you on that one. Basically, you're hearing a story and you're interested, and you know there's going to be commercial advertisements on there. That's pretty obvious. That's what feeds the show. It's income, but pays the salaries. But you'll get an advertisement coming on, and holy shit, you're getting a whole shitload of advertisements. Just like on a YouTube show. If you monetize, some of them get a lot of advertisements, and they get kind of pissed and tired about, skip, hit skip now, whatever. On Coast to Coast, what they did, they'd have a lot of commercials. Then, Nori would come on. You think, okay, the commercials are over. He's going to continue with his show, continue with his story, or his guest. Wrong. He comes on, basically, to bait you. Like we're back, but they're not back. Then you might have another 5 or 10 minutes of commercial advertisements on there. So some people get so pissed off, they say, fuck this. I was one of them that was an avid listener of that show. And I decided not to listen to it anymore. So I used to turn on, one of my favorite TV shows was either Seinfeld or Frasier at that time of night, repeats, whatever. But I switched over from one thing to another. But when you're constantly barraged by commercial advertisements, it becomes actually very intrusive and even to a point offensive. I'm here to listen to a certain show, and I don't need all these advertisements popping up. You got many advertisements on people that are monetized and so forth, and they got all these advertisement feeds. And if they really watch the advertisements, you might make a couple of pennies more, whatever it might be. It's not just not worth it. But a lot of people don't like hitting the skip button on there when these advertisements come on. It just becomes more of a pain in the ass than anything else. So yes, a lot of you people out there that have your own shows and what have you, whether you realize it or not, there's a science to this. If you want to call it a science, you're doing something to help another channel out, and then them reacting is doing something for the channel that's talking about you. Pretty elementary, actually. So it goes back and forth. Let's see what Frank's doing. Let's see what Barry's doing. Let's see what, Don Cunt has to say, or something like that. So you're going to go back and forth. And sometimes they'll do a simulcast to you. So you're going to go back and forth to each one. You're trained, is what it is. They actually have you trained. You don't even realize that you're trained, but you are. How's that? It is quite amazing, actually, when you think about it. There's a lot of people they don't have a fucking clue as to what they're doing. They really don't. Or actually what's going on, rather what they're doing. Or both. Because everybody's expecting a reaction from the other party. So the Philippine Antics, I use them for example because they're like one of the leading gossip shows on here. Now, me, by saying that they're one of the leading gossip shows on there, I just did them a favor to anybody that don't listen to them. And for whoever happens to be listening to me that don't normally listen to them, oh, Philippine Antics, I'm going to go there and see what that show's all about. They may like it, they may not, they may decide to subscribe. Either way, they're adding to the views. That's kind of the way it goes. Isn't that amazing? It's amazing, but it's actually very true. So if I say something on here, it's going to go to the copycat channel people. They're going to put that on or make some lame comments about what I talk about on here, expecting that I'm going to react back to that. And that's how it goes. It's a back and forth thing that doesn't stop. But there's no way of eradicating that. Just get off YouTube or whatever, or just don't respond, or just don't give in to the bullshit on here. But unfortunately, a lot of people do give in to the bullshit because that's what drives their life. And I could say this for the thousandth time. It probably is that people have so much time on their hands. Oh, I got time on my hands. That's why if I didn't have time on my hands, I wouldn't come on here at all. If I had a job or something working or whatever, well, I'm retired. And sometimes, the boring things on TV or Netflix. Okay, let's see what's happening on YouTube. And I might decide to do a show because something may come in my mind to talk about, like I'm doing right this second. That's kind of how it works. But however, there's a big difference actually between what I may do and somebody else may do. Okay, example of that would be, it's a back and forth shit. They're waiting for me to say something and they're figuring that I'm going to react. They want to get a reaction from you. It's all having to do with reaction. So you remember all this shit. It's not just me and Barry's situation, but with anybody, you going back and forth. You're going to do a rebuttal or something to something somebody says, and they're going to do a rebuttal back to what you say, and it creates activity. It creates or it helps with people's boredom because they know or they figure that if somebody said something about the other channel is going to respond back to them, and they get what they want. They're getting the publicity they want, the attention that they want, they're getting the views that they want, and perhaps even some more subscribers. What do hot chicks get in the operation? Or where do hot chicks get in the equation? Oh, well, yeah, that's all part of it too. Clickbait, you're going to use busty looking women. You remember Big Head would do that a lot. Good old Larry Big Head. Boy, he did have a big head, didn't he? He would put all the sexy stuff on his show, in his caption and all that thumbnail. I'm looking for a thumbnail, and people are going to want to see it because men are men. They're attracted to women, and a lot of these men are very lonely. Oh, let me see what's going on in here. Look at all this busty looking women here in the Philippines. It's going to get your attention, and you're going to go there. And that was the whole idea between Big Head and other people that do the same thing on there. Find some kind of a caption on there that's going to catch somebody's attention, or some kind of a title that's going to get people's curiosity. That's how it works. Put some chicks on there or something, sexy chicks, or bathing suit or something, or half clad or something, or just use words. He's an idiot or something. You can say, who's he talking about? Who's an idiot? They want to check it out. Who's the idiot they're talking about? Well, you know, that's how it works. And a lot of people just, it kind of passes, goes from one ear to the other, and, it goes to their brain and what's left of it anyway. And they don't realize that there's a science going on in here that people don't realize is actually going on. Okay, for example, if I do a show about Barry all the time, you're going to get a reaction from Barry in his comment section on his lame little Guilty as Sin show, which he claims is not his, of course. That's not really Barry, of course. We know that's not Barry, right? That's somebody else, Sebastian, somebody. But the idiot, thinks that people don't believe that. But in order to protect himself, to figure he can say anything he wants. Because that's not me. I never said that. My name is Sebastian. That shows what a fucking idiot he is. But we already know that, so, Yeah, Philly does clickbait all the time. All the time. Look, man, Illuminar, they all do. They all do. I barely ever use clickbait on here. I may entitle it on something to talk about. Barely do I ever use clickbait. It was never a normal thing I would do on here. And historically, if you follow my show, you pretty much know that. But except if there's a title about Barry or somebody in there, someone that's been very proactive with all the antics of his hateful character that he is, the abnormal character that he is, the above the law character that he is, and has absolutely demonstrated every single one of us without doubt, without scratching your head, without thinking twice about it. He's not going to have a positive reaction to something. Won't even realize that he's posting something that's actually good. When all this thing about Michael Susi and all that crap with Grey Gardens, and he posts something on here somebody gave him, where in fact, although there was some negative things in there was some praise in there too. And I don't want to go in about the praise again, but there was praise in there. Good photography, good photographs, etc. So what he was accomplishing, makes you scratch your head, because on one hand you're saying, "Oh, I got you now." He's thinking, "Oh yeah, this guy had something bad to say about you," but then the guy had something good to say about me too. So does it balance out? Well, first of all, his whole goal was to try to antagonize me and intimidate me. That's what he does all the time. But when you look at the whole picture here, I mean, who's laying on his comfortable bed right now, and who's in a fucking filthy, hot-ass fucking jail cell? Is it him or is it me? How do things balance out? Okay. Who's under a fucking air conditioner? Who's eating well? Who? Me or him? So it doesn't matter what people in that position say, because they're in a bad position and they want to lash out. It doesn't have to be Barry. It could be anybody who has a dislike for another YouTuber. It could be anybody. There's a lot of that going on YouTube. They're going to lash out against somebody else. I mean, Philippine Antics decides who she wants to trash, and she'll trash Big Man or whoever walks on her. This is back and forth, but you think it's awfully pathetic and it's awfully childish. It's that these people are working on a child's emotional level, because that's what it is. And it all winds down to something I've said the whole goddamn time. If I come on here often, it means that I wasn't doing much of my time and I decided to do a show. I will admit, I'll say, hey, I had time on my hands. I came on to do another show. Whether I did 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, whatever it was, I will come up front and say, yeah, I had time on my hands. Something came on my mind. I wanted to do a show about it, or, do a live stream, call it a show. It's not like I'm playing in a band or something, But I think you get my point. But to get attention from people, you're going to have to say or do something that's going to get their attention. Okay, now Barry, forget about it. He's not going to get monetized anymore. I mean, it's over for him. He just wants the attention. He's lashing out. He's unhappy with his situation, obviously so, and we could understand why. And I certainly do. I think we all do. And he's not a happy person. He's not a happy camper, and I fully understand. But I also realize, and he needs to realize, and I'm sure he does, but don't want to admit it, that, you know, 3 words. I fucked up. 3 words. That's it. So all he has to admit to himself is, I fucked up. That's why he is where he is. And that's why he will continue to be in situations of such nature. Okay? It's the nature of the beast. Okay? You cannot take out the nature of the beast. And he's a beast. And he knows it. He's a troublemaker, antagonizer, intimidator. And I could go through a whole list of words that describe the guy, which would be the truth. It would not be insulting insults on him, really, because if you speak the truth about somebody, what they actually did, not what somebody said they did, if you have witnessed them doing it time and time and time and time and time and time again on a daily show, well, who's the culprit? They are. So they're not in a position to, you know, throw back the insults to somebody else and say, no, no, man, you're the cause of this, man. I shouldn't be here. You're the one that put me here, motherfucker. You're the one that put me here. I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to stop. Until what? You're not going to stop until what? Till you have a heart attack or nervous breakdown, or you think I'm going to have one as a result of him intimidating me. It don't work that way with me, but it can work against himself. And let's face it, folks, he has done everything to work against himself, okay? Yes, you're right. He will always, Illuminar says, he will always say he did nothing wrong. He doesn't want to admit to his faults because he feels that he's on the losing end, that he's giving in, that, he's admitting his guilt. He doesn't want to do that. He won't do that. He'd rather be cocky about it. And even though everybody knows the story, even though everybody knows he's wrong, even though everybody's seen and heard his videos, they know what he's done that was illegal or, according to law, above the law. Everybody and their grandmother and their expected children outside of childbirth, the embryo even knows about it. There's not anybody who can't figure out what he does. Now, if a fucking human embryo could figure out what he's done, we all can. If you put his videos next to a pregnant woman, you probably see a lot of activity in that fucking stomach of hers, I don't want to hear this. I don't want to hear this. Get that cuckoo bird away from me. I don't like the sound of his voice. I'm kind of extending the, just to a point of ridiculousness, but actually, it may not be, actually, when you think about it. It may actually not be. You're not going to change a person who doesn't want to change. That's, leave it off at that. And anyway, this whole process, I'm not going to do these extreme long shows anymore because people lose attention. And if I have something to say, I'm just going to come on and say it rather than doing a goddamn 2-hour show. No matter how many people show up for it, I don't want to do that. I'd rather do multiple shows and do a 2-hour show. But this one here, I think I got right to the point. And it's the psychology, science, the psychology of how people get people to their channel, what's involved with it, between clickbait, using thumbnail images, talking about somebody, expecting a reaction from the other person, and then another reaction from the other person to the other person. Then it goes back and forth, and they get more viewers, they get more subs, and get more interested people into following this drama. Now, literally, there have been thousands of people, may not be subscribed to me or him or other shows, but thousands of people pass through and they listen to these shows. And these are people, very disinterested people, but they say, oh, what the fuck, maybe they think it's a TikTok, it's going to be quick, because something about holding your camera vertical or something. I told you, I'm not a tech freak. It kind of comes out like a TikTok thing or something if you're going to do a short or something. but little I know and all this shit, but people kind of pass through. Just passing through, man. Peace, man. Just passing through, and that's all it really is. And that they sound something interesting to them, and and people are just curious people. They get all caught up into the drama when they have never heard of the channel before. They don't know who the hell you are, don't know what your history is, they don't know what the other guy's history is, but wait, this sounds kind of interesting to me. What the hell's going on? Well, I got nothing else better to do to say, well, hey, why not listen to it? Light up a smoke, have a drink, whatever to do, light up a doobie, whatever, and lay back with your partner or alone, which they usually are very alone. And, hey, why not listen to the show? Turn the speakers up, and, relax and just listen to the nonsense. Have a good laugh about it. Scratch your head and say, I don't know what the fuck is going on, or basically say, what the fuck is going on with this world? Because why are these people all fighting with each other? I mean, what's the common denominator here? Why are these people acting this way? Why is somebody accusing somebody of something? Why is somebody trashing somebody? Why is somebody attacking somebody of that nature? Aren't they afraid of some retribution or something? There's a lot of things as a newbie when you listen to shows that's going through your head at any one period in time. Why doesn't that guy have a baseball bat in his fucking head? I would. I wouldn't go to court for this. Some people say, fuck that shit. I just take it in my hands and to get it over with. But there's a lot of ways of people looking at it. But what people don't understand is, you could take that route of physical action on somebody. You could absolutely can. But they're going to heal. That's the problem. They're going to go right back to being themselves unless you strike their brainless bread, or they're already brainless and cause more damage that they can't even talk or whatever. Then, or cut out their tongue or something. But I don't think anybody's going to do that, So what's your recourse on that? Well, you do something. If it's bad enough, you do something legal. Sure, it's going to cost you money. It's going to cost you time and aggravation. It's more of an irritant than anything else, really. It's more of an irritation than anything. But that's the avenues that you could take. So in my case, I've chose to take that avenue. Sure, I've heard so many comments. Hey, man, I wouldn't be bothered going to court for this shit, man. I just go take this in my hands. Yeah, I know, Byron. That's exactly what I'd do, too. I can't afford to go to no dang lawyer and go to a court trial. Let's just hang the motherfucker up, throw honey on his ass, and watch the ants eat him up. You're right, Byron. Well, that is a way of thinking. It is an option. I'm not going to lie to you. It's an option, but you don't want to do that. Nah, you don't want to do that to anybody. It's just going to get yourself in trouble. More trouble than the other guys in. So, I would never advocate, positioning yourself in something like that. And as much as you, as much as you would like to, as much as you feel that you need to, you just got to restrain yourself. Even if you met up with the person one-to-one. I'm just going to give you advice. That happened to me, obviously. TJIF, it absolutely happened. You have to restrain yourself. Now, I always use that word poetic justice or poetic license. Now, poetic license, a little different. Poetic license means that you have every fucking right to beat the snot out of an offender. But if you wait till the other person, now legally you have to wait until they throw the first punch or raise their arm in threat to you. That's when you enact. Then you're perfectly good. Cameras on or not. You're perfectly good. It's action time. Get it on, get it over with. But under normal circumstances, it's a hard thing to do. You're not always going to have a camera around it to prove what happened. CCTVs in restaurants and bars and all that shit. You're not always going to have that. You have to have witnesses to who raised his fist first. There's politics in that too. Legalities in that. That's what it's all about. So you have to make the personal choice as to, should I slam this motherfucker to the ground, or do I walk away? Or do I find a moment that there's no cameras around, nobody around, then you can beat the snot out of them. Under that circumstances, that's poetic justice and poetic license. If you have that opportunity, take advantage of it. Yeah, I know. They're going to heal. Look, you want to kill anybody, of course, If you want that on your conscience, I mean, unless they killed your kid or something, I wouldn't think twice. And at my age, to hurt somebody to have somebody that I love get hurt, I don't care. I'm in the upper age level, and if I went to jail on it or whatever happened from the result of it, it's like so be it, because I wouldn't give a shit because I'm a senior now, and I don't have as much life into me as, say, for example, my partner does, my girlfriend. You want to protect her above yourself because she deserves to have more life than you. You've lived a long life. So you're in kind of an opportunistic position on this, a very opportunistic position, that you can, and you will if you want, take care of that situation right then and there. No big talk, no bullshit talk. Bullshit walks, man. But it's got to be the right situation. I would never take the chance of doing something so stupid around witnesses that could say, it wasn't this guy, it was you, motherfucker. You raised your hand to him. You went to strike him or her, whatever the situation may be. It's not always men. Women fight with each other too. It's the same damn thing. But it's the same thing on YouTube. Who made the first lame comment against somebody else, right? Then the fingers are going to be pointing, and everybody's going to be pointing fingers in this direction, that direction. No, he started this. No, he started this. No, I'm another witness. I believe they both started it. You get my point? How ridiculous this sounds, but this is the reality on here. That's the reality. Whether on a conscious level that you realize that everything I just talked about on this show, and that's how informative I could be in a relatively short show, and hopefully I woke a few people up, if you didn't realize that already. This is what goes on in human nature, and especially on social media. And as simple as that, my show is over today, and I'm not going to do extra long shows when I do them. If I got something to say, you know damn well I'm going to say it, and I'm not going to hold back. That's my nature, the nature of the beast, okay? But everybody has a little beast in them. But sometimes it shows out more in others than it does for others, okay? Sometimes you feel that you got to say something. There's other times where you probably shouldn't say anything at all, like in the mantis. The mantis, he's rubbing his wings, creating all these fucking buzzing and clicking sounds all the time. When he runs his lips, there's lying going on, which everybody has figured out at this point. He's buzzing his little fucking wings together like a cicada, and it's for everybody to hear, to get that attention that he wants. Positive, negative, don't care, as long as he gets attention. But this is the nature of the beast. This is the nature of YouTube. Nothing's going to change until they get rid of these type of formats. And who's to say that someday they might actually get rid of it? But as long as Google, YouTube, whatever is making money, they're not going to stop doing that. It'll be around for a while. Unless it gets so crazy or something happens financially with the company that they'll take it down, that their profit margin is just adding up and their investors are saying, this ain't working and we got to find other ways of, getting more people involved. But then we've tried this and tried that, and looking at our stats, it's not really working. And that's how some of these things actually disappear. And then they're gone. It's not impossible. It is not impossible for YouTube to go down, but everybody will find another format. I understand that. I don't know if that's true or not, that TikTok is under the gun for various reasons. Whether that's true or not. And by the way, Jay, what are you trying to prove anyway? You're such an asswipe. You really are. I told you, I speak my mind on air, and I'm not afraid to do it. If I see him in person, I'll call him an asshole to his face. If he wants to slam me, that's up to him. He's a fence jumper. Jay comes on his show sucking on his cancer sticks. Only the difference between me and him, I don't drink and I don't chain smoke. I don't do that. I don't even finish a whole fucking cigarette. But Jay thinks it's cute and funny. This is for you, Frank. Well, I might. This is for you, Frank. And he puffs on his cigarette. Keep on puffing, man. Deep puffs like you do. Deep puffs. Deep puffs. Don't do what I do. I barely puff. I have maybe 4 drags. I throw it out. Finish that cigarette. Finish it down to the goddamn filter. Keep on drinking those drinks. Please do. Your liver loves you for it. And do me and everybody else a favor. Keep on sucking on that really good. Just suck that cigarette really good, Jay. Suck it good. Suck it all the way down, okay? Like you're gonna suck some guy's dick, which you've probably done before. Make believe you suck it on a big old cock, Jay, okay? And take a deep fucking drag. A deep fucking drag. There you go. A deep fucking drag until your lungs fucking collapse. Drink the fucking liquor until your fucking liver turns to jello, which it probably is right now. You know, Jay doesn't ever, choose sides of a fence, really. It's just whatever adequate for him. For example, he'll get mad at me, and this is all, I hope it's a learning experience for all of you. Jay will get pissed off at me if I don't, unblock him on my show. And he's come on, many people tell me, Jay wants to come on, unblock me. Yeah, Timmy does that too, a guy named Timmy. But it's the same thing, really. It's the same damn thing. They get upset and they have a hissy fit and all that. Then they'll talk about you on their show. I mean, this is what it's all about. I could never really. I mean, you couldn't get a better understanding or any kind of a description or advice or any kind of psychology or philosophy about YouTube than what you're actually hearing on me right now on this limited time show. This is exactly what's going on YouTube, and people get their rocks off on this. Sometimes they literally get their rocks off, like people like Don C, who's supposed to have a great-looking girlfriend or something, though I've never seen a picture of her, but that don't matter what she looks like. May matter why she's with him, that's another story, but, when money's good, in some cases, money is a good pleaser, It's unfortunate, though, that this 80-year-old guy, well, it's not, he's 68. I keep on forgetting he's like 68. He's actually 2 years younger than me. Oh, my, I made a mistake. But I'd swear on all the gods of Egypt that the guy was fucking 80 years old by looking at him. But, does that put money on my table? I'm not even monetized. So to spend all my time talking about Don, and Don is not even monetized on his own show. He has a couple of videos done, but he just comes on. And I'm just kind of throwing at you guys some examples of what's going on out here to make you fully understand the whole dynamics of YouTube and having a show on and the dynamics of talking about somebody and how it affects another person's channel. It's a, symbiotic relationship that affects both channels or many channels. It'll create a cataclysmic effect. So one show is talking about the other show talks to another about you. Next thing you know, they're doing a show about you. Another person's doing a show. Another person's reacting to one of the third shows. The third show's reacting what the second show said. The first show goes back and reacts to the third show and back and forth. It's like who's on first, what's on second routine, It's like an Abbott and Costello routine on here. Okay? That's it. That's all I have to say. And I did that all in 39 minutes. Amazing.